go through all those, and just be aware, if something would come in for professional fees, that will be directed and paid out of Riverboat. Out of Lit Edit, it's personal service, supplies, other services, and capital outlay. So for example here, these are clearly, they're labeled supplies. What the auditor will have to do, you as commissioners are going to approve the claims. Upon that approval, the auditor's office now will have to go back, and what they will do, in the example we just had about supplies, they're going to have to redirect that fund to Lit Edit. So that fund, when we look into the LAO system, is going to say 7332, then 1,024,300, 000, 005, and 379. That way everyone can track every single fund that's going through. But just by those, that's going to have to be a manual entry. What it does, what's the bottom line, or why does anyone care? This stops any more negative amounts going into the general fund. So the claims that you're going to approve as of tonight, and then September, October, November, and December are going to be redirected to those. I would assume it's not going to be simultaneously. So tomorrow, if someone gets in there and says, well, but I see that the general fund went up, yes, it's going to take a time period for the auditor's office and their staff to go back in. So if you're looking at it 5 minutes after the meeting, you're going to see what you see. But if you wait a few days, you're going to see that breaking down. So that's the process here. Now here are the caps. There is $1,272,296. That's the total amount that's been appropriated. That's the amount that needs to, that's it. That's what's going to carry the county from our day's date all the way to there. So there's no spending spree, there's no changes, and in all honesty, every dollar that cannot be spent, this is still the time to do it. This is not a guarantee, Commissioners. This is not a guarantee that the general fund will be down to zero, but I think it's the most logical, and it's the probably the highest probability of success with the county on directing those funds. There's two other that are specific to the sheriff. That's the medical and the meals for the inmates. That has a $100,000 cap, but those will be directed out. So that's the mechanism as far as to get you aware of what's our starting point. Right now, at least as of August 13th, the general fund is in arrears, it's in the red, $527,463.36. The idea is by the end of this week that's going to work its way down, with the understanding that there's only 1.2 million. Now, there's a few other things that this part will probably be getting horse and cart, but if it makes sense, it's kind of an outline of the spending or what else would happen. Tonight you're going to hear a discussion on dormant funds. These are funds that have been that are just basically dormant, have not been touched with either income or expenditures over the years. One of these funds has a balance of $213,000. That will be expressed later in the meeting, so why am I bringing it up now? If this meets your approval on a dormant fund, we establish a factual basis through the auditor that it's dormant. That $213,000 can be applied to the general fund. That would reduce the general fund balance to $313,000. There's a couple other bills, and the department heads are here. This is a determination of when and if the commissioners want to do this. But the workman's compensation bill has already come in for 2021. It has been paid. 1168 is local health maintenance. EMS is Chris at 151, and 1176 is Greg with the highway. Those are three non-general funds. Those still have unexpended appropriations for this bill. There'd be $1,850 from local health. Chris has paid about half. He has $27,705 left in his account. And then Greg has $40,000 that's been unexpended in that amount, that sometime those bills will be paid. When those are, the general fund now would be reduced by another $69,555. That would put the general fund deficit at $244,171.42. Again, picking completely on the highway, and again, this does not have to be done tonight. This is just kind of explaining that the liability insurance, 6 months of that has been paid. The county fiscal year is from January 1st to December 31st. The county liability policy does not follow that fiscal year. Roughly March 8th of 2021 to March 8th of 2022. So it overlaps the fiscal year. So liability is in 2, but 1/2 of the liability has already been paid. In the highway budget, there's an appropriation of $84,500. If half of that were paid, that's $42,250. That would drop the negative balance in the general fund to $201,921.42. Now again, I'm not advocating just to pour this all on the highway, but just trying to give an outline of appropriations that have been done, bills that have been paid. There is a pathway of $201,000. Now, between the auditor and the State Board of Accounts, they may or may not allow then of that 200 to go back and take. That is definitely nothing that's going to be done tonight or today. But of the $201,921.42, that would kind of be the new baseline. But just keep in mind, there's only $1.2 million left to take through the year. There's no settlement until in November or December. And basically the money that is coming in to the general fund pretty much is a wash with the amount of payroll. The general fund payroll is still staying in. So there's a lot of things to discuss. The department heads, clearly not a vote, but it just seemed kind of the appropriate time to kind of look at where the fund balances are, how it would be. So wrapping up, commissioners, you still will actually be voting tonight to pay things out of the general fund. However, there are appropriations. State Board of Accounts has supported and is in favor of this process. So in about a 48 to 72 hour process, they're redirected to look at it. The key thing to watch now, on top of everything else though, is watching every dollar of that $1.2 million. That can't be overspent. So really, by all parties, watching that, that is in an attempt to kind of just a brief overview of the financial situation between the council and commissioners.
Thank you, Jim. Gentlemen, have any questions or concerns? Okay. I'll make ask for a motion for approval of claims for 8/18/2021 with the understanding that the general fund amount will be paid out of these other funds as we've already discussed. Do I hear that motion?
Make that motion.
Have a motion from Bob. Do I hear a second? Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Get these signature pages going. I also have a handful of out-of-cycle claims, and I'm going to go ahead and read those. I got them right here, Sheila. I have a COVID clinic claim for $51.85.37. I have utilities at $11,734.60. Visa bill 268.91. Visa number 5, $13.97.13. Visa number 4, $193.10. And Visa number 3, $12.82.93. And that's a looks like a vaccine, COVID vaccine. Okay,
And you just said quickly, those also have to be redirected. None of those will be paid out of the general. Utilities would be one of those directed out of the riverboat.
thank you, Jim. Okay. Do I hear approval of those out-of-cycle claims?
Motion to approve the out-of-cycle claim. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. That was you and I are
Put that,
this one,
yeah, put that on top of their bottle for me, please.
that one on top of there here.
That one goes on top of the one you have, Bob.
One with each one of them, so you have to put it back.
Okay. I thought that we took those off there that were highlighted, that's why I was, maybe
I
not.
left them. So we didn't have to go back and do that.
She said she didn't put that back on there.
Okay.
Do you want these back, Sheila? These ones that you,
Yes.
okay. Tall one. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this one through too. That way it'll be all on the same. Do what?
We've only been doing one, but however.
Last stack. Okay, well, they're finishing up on those signatures. Let's go ahead and move on to old business. That way Jim can speak about the IU Health Program contract that we finally have got hashed out. And I think that we've got everything taken care of, if I'm fully understanding that, correct, Jim?
There was, the old, what I'm gonna term as the old agreement had a paragraph specifically saying that the employer, in this case would have been Owen County, had to provide an additional 5% incentive towards the total premium. Owen County pays roughly 94% of the premium for its employees. That would take it up to 99. After working with IU Health, they have agreed, in the documents you have in front of you, they have waived, they have eliminated that requirement. So the requirements to engage in this are minimum contribution of 75%, Owen County's at 94. Owen County does need to have a minimum of 60 people enrolled in this program. 50% must participate in the health screening. We have 30 enrolled, I believe that's like a finger stick. One, you have to have Wi-Fi. The IU Health will be contacting individual employees. There must be a wellness officer with the organization to coordinate the health and results team. And this is only available to IU Health Plan members. It's not available to spouses, dependents, or employees on the health plan. And there's a format where you just have the name, date of birth, social security. The key thing, why is this important? This is a guarantee. So the premium that was established last year, or this year of 2021, would continue to 2022, even if health costs go up. This is a guaranteed rate. So if this is satisfactory, the commissioners vote to approve this and sign this. If this could the signed contract get to Bill Brown and Associates really as soon as possible. They'll begin the coordination with this, but it is a guarantee that the insurance premium would not go up for next year.
Thank you, Jim. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit for our public here tonight. And I've mentioned this before, we negotiated a health premium contract in December of last year for 2021 at $137,000 savings to the county over the previous rate that we were paying. By doing this agreement here with this health wellness program, we were guaranteed that rate again in 2022. So it's a total savings to the county of $275,000 over a 2-year period. So well worth some people getting their fingers stuck for it. I appreciate those employees that signed up. Do I hear a motion to approve for a signature of the health plan through IU Health?
I'll make that motion.
I've got a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. And it just requires one signature, gentlemen. Your ink pen run out?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll hand this back to you. Okay. Barnes and Thornburg ARP agreement. Jim, if you would like to speak on that.
Commissioners, Owen County is one of multiple counties, municipalities, and other organizations all throughout the United States that has received funds from the American Rescue Plan. Specifically, Owen County received over $2 million. A resolution has been passed by the commissioners, and that has been deposited, so the money is actually there. The next section of it here, and consult the auditor, and very important to get the auditor's opinion on here, is a firm like Barnes and Thornburg that are reviewing all of the legalities, all of it. With no exaggeration, these rules, these regulations are hundreds of pages. That is correct. And the risk is that if any fund is used out of bounds, not within the parameters of the fund, the county must pay that back. So just for example, the county looks at a program, it's all done, it's all paid for, the program costs $500,000, it goes on review, and unlike the COVID funds from if you could call back from about a year and a half ago, there was a pre-approval process. You could call them, you could look at it. That does not exist here. This would be totally after the fact. This would be after you paid whatever contractor, whatever program. There would be a notification. In essence, Owen County now owes, in my example, $500,000 back to the federal government for the American Rescue Plan. Many counties are doing this. It's a fixed rate of $2,500 per month. It's a collect where you would have specialized assignment, but you also would not be paying for the fact of research that's already learned from all the other counties. I believe this would be a huge assist to the auditor. It is paid completely out of these funds. This would not come out of the general fund. This would not be part of any additional tax or any other presentation or burden placed upon the taxpayers. And quite respectfully, in talking with a number of other people involved in this, I think in all fairness, I think there was a belief by the federal government that these were going to be complicated. That's why they made these allowable funds. The idea that there would be. It's a month-to-month. I would assume that you would need this service for a good 3 to 4 months at a minimum, probably to take out in 2021. But if it's something that wants to be revisited in 2022 and you want to discontinue it, you simply discontinue it. It's also my understanding there's some deadlines coming up for the auditor to make. I would ask you at this time to consider it, yea or nay. If you want to do that, if you do sign this agreement or approve this agreement, this could be sent off to Barnes and Thornburg tomorrow. They can start immediately and begin working with the auditor on some of the issues that are coming up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks for Owen County.
Thank you, Jim. And it's my understanding from the auditor, because I've been notified by her more than once, that August 31st is the deadline for us to put this plan in place. And if not, the money is removed. We're not going to let $2 million leave this county, so we're going to sign this document, I hope, here in just a minute. But again, like Jim said, for $2,500 a month, and we can stop this contract at any time. I have looked at this online many times. I've had several things emailed to me, and he's not exaggerating. It's way over everybody's head in this room. So it's important that we look at this real serious. So this time I'll make a motion to approve the Barnes and Thornburg contract. Do I hear a second? Got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Madam Honor, if that's sent to them, they can start contacting you.
Okay. So again, we do have to have a plan. So are you going to call?
They are.
Are you going to allow them to do just a generic enough to do our report August the 31st, and then you can go back and make changes if needed?
That is my assumption, that they have a preliminary
If
plan.
there is a most generic, because here's the thing, this can be amended at any time. That is crystal clear. I think it would be in the best interest of Owen County to have really the most generic. And the reason I say that is that way, what a most generic plan does is 2 million stays in. So no one can understand, there's no money going in, oh, now I've got my money. No one's getting any money. Generic plan goes in, the money stays where it's at, and then after the budget is considered, come back and then you can start taking presentations. I think this is the best way. This is what in my opinion, this is just a technicality. Let's get in a generic formatted plan, move on, and then Owen County's met all of its obligations.
Thank you, Jim. And by saying that, this money is sitting in an interest-bearing account, so the county is making money off of this while it is sitting there. I think that's important that everybody knows that. Again, this money, once it is in a plan, those presentations by whatever department come to the commissioners for approval. Once that approval has been accepted, then it goes on to the council for appropriation of the funds. So it's not like there's just one person that has control over it and just throwing money here and there. That's not the case at all. It goes through its normal channels, so. All right, did that answer everything that you needed? Okay. All right, Highway Department. Know you got a lot to talk about.
Try to make it as painless as I can tonight, Commissioners. The first thing I'd like to bring before you, Commissioners adopted a road plan for 2021. Due to budget constraints and the recent flooding events, my funds are exasperated. Commissioner District 1 was a milling project, Childress Road to Limestone Creek Road, Locust Lake Road, from Bush Road to South Cataract. Commissioner District 2 was West Fall Creek from Rocky Hill Road to Texas Pike. Commissioner District 3 was with Basadia Road, from State Road 157 to 157. There was a chip seal project on Truesdale Road, and 2 hot mix projects, one on Dillman Road and one on Back and Pearl Streets in the town of Freedom. Earlier in the year, I came to you and you allowed me to put those projects on hold to see where finances are at. I'm going to ask that the commissioners scrap these projects for the year of 2021.
What I would like to do at this time, Greg, is to ask for a motion to move these projects to the top of the list for 2022. I do not want these projects to go to the wayside, and it's something that's already been on the books. So I think that we just need to roll that over into our 2022 road plan.
I absolutely agree with that, Commissioners, short of one project that was not on the road plan that the Commissioners talked about earlier. And if money was available, we were going to attempt to pave Steubenville Road in its entirety from, but we were only able to pay a portion of that in the community crossing grant. So I would ask you to add that portion back into the 2022 road plan. And that would be from Denmark Road to State Road 246.
All right. You guys have any discussion on this?
That was if we had the extra money for that.
That was
Right.
if you had extra money, that is not what happened.
That's not,
But these projects need to be done, and we don't want to just scrap them, so we need to move them over till, we're financially.
next year.
Correct. So,
Now, commissioners, these, if I may, just a moment. These projects that we were gonna take on ourselves were rather small projects in regards to paving. And I know the commission has already voted on community crossing roads for next year, but I think faced with the financial issues that we have, I would like for you to allow me to place these roads on community crossing next year, which would be the entire $1 million, and add some bridges into that.
did we not already put community crossings roads together for 2022?
We did.
Okay, so what are you asking?
I'm asking,
That we scrap those 3 roads?
well, I'm asking that be rescinded because these roads were already promised to do for 2021. So I think that those roads should be backed off to 23.
Okay. So the roads that we're talking about now, we were gonna do in-house, the millings, different things like that.
Yes,
Leave that alone. I wanna make sure I'm understanding this.
yes,
We wanna leave all that alone with the addition of the Steubenville from Denmark to 246.
that is correct.
And then in another motion, because I'll have to make 2 here, you want to rescind the community crossings roads for 2022 and move those to 2023.
Yes, and that way I could, because I would like these roads to be the community crossing roads for 22.
The roads
The
that,
roads that we're scrapping for 21, I would like for you to place those on.
so you're not even wanting to do millings on them, you're just wanting to make them community crossings roads?
Yes,
Okay, what if we're not accepted for 2022?
well then I think our money needs to be spent on bridges.
Okay,
I've been before the commission, many times in regard to bridges and culverts. We've discussed the concrete culverts that I had. I lost another one today on Dunn Road. Right now, I'm sitting with, 4 bridges closed. Another one I had to close on Friday. I know the commissioners have received several calls on those. I think that these concrete structures and these bridges that we have, if we don't address them soon, and I've been talking with you about these since 2019, one of these days somebody's gonna go through one of them, and we're gonna have major problems.
there's no doubt about that. What are we gonna do with the millings that we have piled on the ground that was to go to these roads here, if we're gonna scrap them?
Oh, they wouldn't be scrapped. They're a product that I can use every day.
I don't know if we're ready to make this motion without further discussion. You laid quite the plan on us here with moving 2 years and the bridges for 2021. So we're not gonna move the roads from 2021 to 2022. We're actually gonna ask for bridges in 2022.
Right, well, commissioners, and I'm gonna try to defend myself here a little bit, laying this all on you at one time. I mean, Jim, everybody is worried about the situation, the financial plan of the county. I mean, Gary, if you and I have talked, I'm just informing the public.
Sure,
because
sure.
You and I have talked about this. I mean, we used to talk about the garage 2 or 3 times a day and the needs of the highway department. You and I talk maybe twice a week now. So I have to put I'm presenting this to you, and maybe it deserves more discussion, but
Well, and I think we can get by with another meeting for seriously, we need to sit,
but that's where we need to be.
right.
Would the community crossing grant pay for the bridges?
Yes, it will. I've got one
That-
on
that's
community
still
crossing
able to
right
get 'em.
now. Now, bridges are a lot more work. When we're getting bridges ready, it probably takes me 4 times the amount of time to prepare a bridge for a grant that it does a road.
We need a little bit more discussion on this.
Yeah, I think that and I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, I just wanna make sure we put this plan together properly, especially going into community crossings with these bridges and make sure we're picking. I know we got 3 bridges closed right now, or 4, so there's probably 4 good candidates right there, don't you imagine?
Yes.
And we've got school buses crossing too.
Right.
So.
How about we take this under advisement, we discuss it amongst ourselves with you, next meeting, we put it to a motion, and, but 2 weeks isn't gonna make a difference.
Okay.
I mean, we're not coming up for any community crossings paperwork or any filings like that, so, as far as for 2022, so 2 more weeks is, that way we can all sit down and wrap our head around it. And I'm not disagreeing with the thing that you're saying, I just wanna make sure that we're scrapping everything that we planned for 21, is basically what's gonna happen.
Yes. But in my opinion, and I'm sorry, that's just mine, that's the only way to come out of this financial hole.
So then, if we do that, why don't we take the roads that were in 2021 and put them on the 2023 community crossings and scrap the 2022s and put them out to 24? Those are the kind of things I need to talk to you about,
Okay,
okay?
yes,
But we're in agreement, we just figure it out, okay?
yes.
All right. What other surprises do you have for us tonight?
I didn't intend for those to be surprises, but Jim and I talk sometimes 3 or 4 times a day in regard to that. The next big surprise, and y'all got.
Well, you need to cut him out a little bit and put me in there.
Mine, you got this one. My revenues were down over $100,000 this month from my deposits in my NVHA fund.
And that seems to be a yearly trend for some reason.
It does.
Yeah.
That being said, that's, I've got to come up with another $185,000 for community crossings this year, and, you know, we're still talking about liability, and workman's comp insurance that I have to pay for.
Well,
And I do want to make note that I shoulder the repair from this flood out of the highway budget because we've gotten no money from anywhere.
and as we've discussed the last couple of days of last week, we are not using our lit edit fund properly to help support the county in its highway and bridge projects. And that's a direction that's gonna have to be changed as well. But yeah, you're right, we've got no help any way, shape or form, from any agencies. One thing I'm understanding, just to touch on the liability insurance real quick, half of that is this year and then some of it falls over into next year. So you could basically say that you could take $42,000 of your liability fund money and apply to that grant this year. Am I making that, is that making sense?
Sure, good. So I think one of the problems, Commissioner, absolutely, so there's 84,500. So you could wait and do an encumbrance and carry it over. But Greg's problem is this, using this phrase of real money. So he has an appropriation for 84,500.
Right.
He's got that appropriation.
It's not there.
He doesn't really have the cash is the problem. So here's the money in there. Right now, in Cume Bridge, as of the 13th, I'm not gonna go to the cents, but there's $244,000 left $261,000 in cumulative bridge. Now, some of that gets reimbursed on the inspection, but Kelly Bridge has not been paid for.
I have to have $211,000 out of that and change.
So what I'm saying is, in cumulative bridge, at least before there's any reimbursement, there's $50,000. That's how much the county has as of the 13th to the next settlement in December for its bridges. That's talking real money, once Kelly Bridge is paid. Now, these are numbers from the 13th of August. He has approximately $189,000 in local road and street, 179,000 in 1173, the restricted. And he has 104,000 in 1176. Those are the three monies. Now that includes the split in August has already come in. There would be some more for road and street. Now, the 40,000 for workman's comp, that bill's actually been paid and due. So at some point in 2021, that 40,000 needs to come out of the highway. At a minimum, you're looking at 42,500. If you want to get really stringent, maybe it's 75% that absolutely should be paid out of 2021, and then you have your 3 months in March. Now again, that's something that's not been done as far as trying to move the liability from one year to the other. That's known. But the appropriation is 84,500. The point that I look when I look at these numbers, if Greg goes approximately $250,000 for the community crossing grant, and $40,000 for workman's comp, and $84,500 for liability, and payroll and equipment, the picture becomes fairly obvious. The $250,000 bill minus some of the percent changes when the final bill comes in, I believe is going to come due is at the end of October, early November. I mean, that's the idea about these roads to be done. So that 250 is real, and it's coming. The council makes decisions, commissioners make decisions. I'm just talking about the economics. There was 888,000 lead, 800,000 had to be dedicated to paying the bills. There's only $88,000 left in the lead fund. There is nothing in the general fund. There's about 100,000 left in the riverboat, but those two last two that I told you about, I think those are what we consider the safety valves for there. I'm not aware, but I'm not on the council. I'm not speaking for the council. I'm just giving you economics, no more than I would speak with the commissioners. I'm not seeing any other path where there's other money coming in. Like, in the past, someone might be able to say, we'll just go to the county council and get that amount.
Right.
I don't see that as a possibility.
Yeah, there are.
Those numbers match to, I mean, what you see, I mean, I know they're about a couple of days old.
They do, and Gary's been in my office, but Jim, once you walk in the office, they have 3 whiteboards. I'm very visual and I change the numbers every day. So they are, I know that Rachel from my office on speed dial with Sheila's office, and they probably get tired of us, but I'm extremely concerned about getting through the rest of this year, and I've sat through the same meetings that everybody else has, and it doesn't appear that it's gonna be any better next.
No, it's not gonna be, and Jim's right, as we all know, there are no extra funds to go get, there just isn't. The only saving right now that you have is like I said, maybe it may not be 42,000, but you can encumber $30,000. Not that that's much of a blessing, but it's 30,000 that you might be able to do something with. And that's what's gonna have to happen in that case.
Okay, on further to bridges, Bridge 16 is on Rocky Hill Road. That's the bridge that the commissioners have most had phone calls over the weekend. It had to be closed Friday. Something has went through the deck of the bridge. United Consulting, Nick Coker, has looked at it. His opinion is probably a heavy truck.
And Greg, if you give me just a second here to explain, this bridge is on Rocky Hill Road that goes out to 231 to Carp. It is the avenue that was deemed best direction for the water company that's got 80,000 pound trucks going down this road out to the highway. I'm gonna speculate that bridge probably maybe had a 10 or 12,000 ton bridge limit on it.
At a 14,000 pound limit.
I was close for guessing, and we're putting 80,000 pound trucks over. So this wear and tear, the bridges gave out. And yes, we've got tremendous amounts of calls about this situation. And, as you requested, we're gonna have to deem it an emergency. I'm probably jumping ahead of you here a little bit,
Go
but,
right ahead.
we, two things, I guess we've already decided to close it, but it wasn't publicly, so we need to deem it an emergency to close this bridge. And I'd like to make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Even though we closed it on the weekend, since we couldn't get a meeting, we've made that decision, and now it's been made publicly.
Now, Commissioners, I'll go back to addressing the bridge, but in part of the emergency, I'd like to address some of the detour routes. In looking at the roads in depth this morning, Wesley Chapel is going to be the most common detour route. Wesley Chapel is a community crossing road that's been paved. It is in a pretty decent shape, but the road at its narrowest is 15 feet and at its widest 16 feet 2 inches. I'm going to ask that, I've spoken to Jim about it, but I would ask that that road be closed to truck traffic. I would ask that an emergency speed limit of 20 miles an hour be placed on it if we can. A weight limit of 14,000 pounds, which will allow school buses to travel on it. That would be the first road I would want to address in regard to this emergency.
There's a couple of things that be rude and interrupting. The weight limit could be, but any speed limit, one, I think that's below the mandatory minimum, and that would need to be done by a written resolution. So I can have that ready for your next meeting as far as the speed limit, but the.
What is that road posted now, Greg? 30?
It is not posted, but it is an asphalt road, so it would be 30 miles an hour.
Well, but 30, if that's existing, just would, it'd be good to have the posted signs of 30.
Correct.
That's probably, just from my memory, I think that's the mandatory minimum. That's not,
That is.
it's not a city road,
No.
so I don't think you can go any lower than that.
I think we just need to post it at the 30th for the time being.
I can do that. I just do want to note that I think with the traffic I was on that road today,
It's pretty narrow.
I
It's
do
tight.
not believe, and Jim, it may be done, need to be done by resolution, but gentlemen, I think it needs to be lowered during this detour, if at all possible.
All right.
The one thing, just to be clear, as far as you can put a weight limit on the road, but I don't believe there'd be authority just to simply say no truck traffic. So if there's a respectable tonnage that the road would safely do, that would be a limit, but it could not be closed just to all truck. Obviously, a truck could be anything from a pickup to any area, so you'd be looking at a tonnage limitation, and if the road is already at 30 miles an hour, that's no change, but the posting of the signs would be appropriate just to make sure it's clear what that amount of speed limit is.
And what do you want to post it as tonnage wise?
14,000 pounds, 7 tons.
7 tons. Okay.
That allows school buses without a problem.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the tonnage rating on Wesley Chapel Road to 7 ton?
Greg, how long do you think that bridge is gonna be out?
Well, gentlemen,
Let me answer that for you, Greg. It's gonna be indefinitely until we get some money.
once there's money,
The only thing is farmers along there, they getting their crops out.
well, agricultural, they're exempt, but
Okay,
once they get off of that road, then they need to go some other direction.
Yeah.
They really do, but there are crops on that road, but, and I understand that, but they are exempt.
I just wanted clarification on that.
So I've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I-
I got 2 seconds. I'll go with Dale, as the second. All in favor? Aye. Next, I'm going to ask for a motion for the approval of the attorney to write a resolution to drop that speed limit for the time being indefinitely. I don't know how we want to put that until the bridge is repaired to 20 mile an hour. Do I hear a second on that motion?
Yeah, I'll second
that.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
And just, I know everybody understands here, but just if anyone listening, the clarification is, for being drafted is not establishing a 20 mile.
Correct. For you to draft a resolution for that change. Thank you, Jim.
And I asked for that, besides myself being there, I'm sure the commissioners heard that, but that's been the biggest complaint of the highway department since that bridge has been closed, is the speed. The next road that I want to discuss because of this situation, that I would like to have a weight limit put on, just because the semi-traffic, and I haven't talked with the sheriff, but I think he would agree, and maybe he wouldn't, but I would like to see that weight limit put on for Coon Path Road, and the reason being, we've got some sharp hills. Coon Path is wider, 18.
Also has many more residents on it. 18
feet, but many more residents, but my concern is the intersection for the commissioners, since we're having to have the detour at, State Road 67 at the bottom of Dean's Hill, trying to get a big truck out on the road in that area.
Yeah.
Be nasty.
Do I hear a motion to approve a 7-ton weight limit on Coon Path Road?
I make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. And Greg, I'm gonna interrupt you here just a little bit. I did talk to the owner of the water company out there, spoke with him today, and I told him that we were having a meeting tonight, and that my recommendation at this time, and I think I've spoke to you about it as well, Greg, and I think I spoke with Jim, that those water trucks would be routed down Rocky Hill back into town to the highway when they're heading north. That they were not to be allowed on either Wesley Chapel or Coon Path Road. He had no problem with that. I think, Jim, that we probably need to put something in effect stating that. Do we need to present that take that as a motion and a resolution, an amendment?
Yeah, there's a notification came up, but it would take me to the next meeting, let's just put that as part of the resolution. What is the name of that water company?
Help me out here, Greg.
I'm sorry.
BBP?
No, it's the spring water company out there.
If I recall, I believe they have a variance of some kind through the BZA. What I would recommend then is doing a modification, because if I apologize, it's purely memory. They had a specific route.
They do.
They had an exception, so this would be a change, based upon that variance. So let me get that drafted up and I'll bring that to our next meeting.
Okay, and he was very cordial speaking with him. He had no problem going ahead and taking that direction. But I just want to make sure that we get it legal. And you're exactly right, Jim. From what I understand, previous commissioners had made a route for them to abide by. And this particular bridge that is closed is one of those routes, or was the only route. And Greg, unless you tell me different, the only other route that I see is Rocky Hill back to 46 and
That
back
is-
north on 231.
Yes.
So, okay. So Jim, do I need to take a motion on that?
My recommendation is to do a verbal, motion, have a vote, so that way there's a good record of it, and then I'll follow up with the formal resolution at the next meeting.
Thank you.
But I think it would be proper to do that.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve, county attorney to amend the, variance, based on this bridge closure, for the truck traffic, from a water company? And Greg, did you ever come up with a name? I put it in the motion, but I cannot remember. Spring something or another, but, all right. Got a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Okay, commissioners, thank you, directing your attention back to Bridge 16. Bridge 16 is 36 feet in length and 28 feet wide. After the inspection, it was deemed that the head walls, wing walls, and superstructure, meaning the bridge beams, are in good condition, but the bridge deck must be replaced.
Greg, I'd recommend that you get us 3 quotes on this, bring it to us at the next meeting, so we can at least, we've got to have some kind of dollar figure, whether we have the money or not.
They go up to tonnage on it.
Well, if we put the new deck back on it, it'll be back to National Highway standards, and it won't have a weight limit on it.
Right.
The deck's been the problem the whole time.
Commissioners, on your motion, and just for the auditor for the minutes, the statute would be Indiana Code 36-1-12-9. This has been declared an emergency by the Board of Commissioners. So your obligation is you have to be minimum of 3. It has to be a minimum of 2, but to get 3 quotes, and they have to be a person's known to deal in this type of work. They would then be brought back, the 3 quotes would be brought back to the commissioners in a public meeting. At that time, the minutes of the board must again show that there was an emergency and the names of the persons invited, and then the quotes can be approved. But this is not an obligation in any way. The commissioners, you still have the right to reject all quotes. And again, pure speculation, but if this would be a significant amount, over 150,000, they would scrap that and just consider bids anyway. But this would, that is the authority for public emergency to obtain the quotes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, I've already reached out to 3 different bridge builders, E3 Bridge, EH Bridge, and CLR. E3 looked at the bridge this morning. I expect EH and CLR to look at it tomorrow and come up with some sort of cost.
Okay,
Everybody will be quoting apples to apples in regard to the deck. It's going to have to follow National Highway standards. Therefore, there won't be any difference in regard to that.
good. That sounds very, very good. Again, whether we have the money or not, we need to know what we're looking at and go in some direction. So, thank you.
Now, Commissioners, I will ask, if I get these quotes in quickly, would there be a possibility of calling a special meeting? Because I know that if I get the dollar in here, I don't have it, and I don't know whether the council does or not, but I will have to go in front of them. So if there's any way I can get in front of them.
We can call a special
that
meeting.
next meeting, I would like to.
You notify us when you have all the quotes in, and we'll notify Sheila at that time, and she can advertise the meeting.
And gentlemen, I understand a no answer, but I think in this situation, the public needs an answer as quick as possible.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's it on Bridge 16. Bridge 148 remains closed on White Road. We are working on a plan to repair that bridge now. It looks like it's not gonna have to be replaced. So I will come to you probably by the next commissioners meeting with a plan to repair that bridge. Water finally got down enough that we can get under it and figure out what needs to be done. 194 again on the server at Rattlesnake will have to be replaced. Bridge 108A on Dunn Road can be repaired.
108, did you say?
Yeah, 108A.
Okay. I want to stop you just a second, going back to Silver Road. Mr. Baron Barnett said he went out and inspected that bridge today and didn't feel that it needed to be replaced. And I asked him if he was an engineer, and he said no, so I don't know how he determined that, but.
Common sense, just look at it.
The Baron I have, and I'm not an engineer either, but when they tell me it's gonna be closed, it's gonna remain closed. Because I open it and the school bus falls through that, that's my fault. And commissioners, I have to advise them as to what our engineers say to do and not I would love to open it because it's like catching over.
Small people stop, they have to take their vehicle down through the creek, and especially when the water's up, it's a bummer.
But I understand that Server Road, I'll just state that Server Road has 3 creek crossings anyway. So there's only one house that doesn't have to cross the creek, so everybody behind that crosses the creek at least twice, maybe once before they get to where the actual bridge is at. And there is King Road to go out, and there is Hale Hill to go out Fish Creek.
Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Bridge 108A, Dunn Road. We have, got a plan in regard to, digging out and going underneath of the current head walls and pouring concrete. United Consulting, said that this was a viable plan, and told us we could go ahead and proceed. I've had, E3, Bridge look at it and ask them to give a quote, as well as CLR and, a local contractor, Fender. E3 Bridge said that, and they refused to give any kind of a quote for this, that they told the commissioners when the bridge was built, there shouldn't be a bridge put in there. Therefore, they won't do the repair. CLR has not responded back in regard to that, and I do have a quote from Fender in regard to the repair with me here tonight.
So we've got one more coming. And they just got a quote for you at this time.
Yes.
Is this something that's gonna fit in our no money budget?
Yes, commissioners, it can, and I actually believe, and I know it cuts things close, but I know what my community crossing is gonna cost me out of my 1135 fund. I think, White Road and Dunn Road can be done for somewhere around $10,000–11,000, depending on the concrete. And
Each or total? Each.
Say white? Did you say white? Done?
yes. Jim, I have this one quote, I don't know whether we can proceed with it or not, but I don't know.
Well, was this one of the bridges that declared an emergency, is that correct?
It is.
So, is there another quote coming though?
I'm gonna have to find another source with.
Okay, I think just must be an interesting, I thought for a moment that there might have been one, so.
No,
I thought the same thing. You said one company would not bid on it, and I thought you said you had one more coming. I misunderstood you as well.
and I have not gotten the quote from CLR, which I asked for one.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so the difference is, just 1 second here. So, we'd be operating, Greg, so we could, but we were operating back on Indiana Code 36-1-12-9. This specific bridge was declared an emergency, so, and you've made every attempt to obtain at least 2 quotes, is that correct?
3 actually.
3, okay, so the first thing would be, before we do anything, is for the auditor for the minutes, we need the name of all 3 of the quotes and then what response, if any.
E3 Bridge, and that's the company that refused to quote it, and why. CLR and Fender Excavating.
And Fender Excavating has provided the quote.
They have.
And then the next question is CLR, I just making sure I understand correctly. They're saying it's on its way, or there's been just no response, or kind of what's the status of?
They're very good with Owen County. I usually get something prompt out of them, and it has now been, I'm going on my, this will be my 3rd commissioner meeting with no response in regard to this. I've placed it off in regard to getting a quote.
I mean, it can be, I will tell you, I'm just not really, I guess I'm just saying, for no reason, not really comfortable with just doing a single quote on a bridge project. Obviously, if that's all that's available, I mean, that's all that is, but respectfully, my recommendation would always be, if you're looking at a public construction contract, even an emergency, in the best interest, I think you would want two quotes to make a consideration, if that's possible. If it's not, it can't be done, but I just don't know if everything's been exhausted completely with silver.
How recent has it been that you've reached out for these quotes? Was it last week?
I actually spoke with the owner of CLR this morning, about other projects, which he's jumped right on and brought me quotes and information for.
And I know that they're doing the Kelly Road
Yes,
Bridge for us.
that is correct. It makes no difference to me, commissioners, but I had it on the list. I was hoping I would have something else in here again today, and again, I've been on this many meetings. I felt like it needed to be brought before you.
We're talking about an emergency meeting for quotes on this one, or the 16 bridge.
That is correct.
How about we exhaust those efforts for this additional quote,
That would
do
be
that
fine.
emergency meeting, and if we don't have it, we'll move forward.
Yes.
That
That makes sense.
makes sense? Okay. You guys all right with that? I'm not hearing much coming from you here.
Just let me know.
And commissioners, I'm quite all right with that. I'm just bringing you what I have in my hand.
Sure. Well, I think we all know what's gonna happen if we get one quote only. Just doesn't sit well with everyone, and I wouldn't wanna do that to any other contractor as well, so, I think that's the right thing to do. Okay, so if we schedule that emergency meeting, once we get those quotes, we will be discussing, I wanna make sure this is in the minutes, Bridge 16 for 3 bids or quotes.
Yes.
And then also in that same meeting, Bridge 108A
Correct.
for an additional quote. Okay. We got that covered?
And commissioners, just to bring up, 194 and Server Road. So all involved doesn't think the highway department is sitting on their hands. We are working on plans for the Server Road Bridge.
Well, Greg, I'll tell you, I know you're not sitting on your hands, regardless of what people think. Again, it's been another horrible year. We had a heck of a flood, in June, still dealing with no help. Same thing that happened to us in 19.
You know, I think it's fair to say on most things, roads and culverts, one can discuss many ideas, maybe take the cheaper option, or maybe not the best option depending on what we're funded for. But when we have to abide by certain regulations, that is placed on us, by the federal government in regard to bridges, we just have to follow those rules.
Oh, I agree with that. I think that we have took the lesser avenue too many times in this county, and that's why we're having these conversations sometimes. I'd like to do more with less, if that makes any sense, as in try not to do as much and let's make it right the first time.
I absolutely agree, Commissioner. The county pays thousands of dollars, I mean thousands literally, to have these bridges inspected. For us not to follow the recommendation of the company that the county has hired to do that, could be a travesty.
Yep, I agree.
Jim, do I need a new quote from the company that quoted, or can this quote just be held?
I think I would say at this point, there's been a rejection. I would actually ask that a motion just be made and run over and you're rejecting all quotes for that.
For the 108A,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's unopened, but just, all quotes are rejected and start the process over.
thank you. Do I hear a motion to reject all quotes for Bridge 108A at this time?
I make that motion.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I have a second? I have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, anything else, Greg?
I don't-
While you're sitting there, Rich Roberts is sitting back there behind you. We have discussed this months back.
Yes,
And if we can, let's just take care of this while you're up there. Rich has asked you to come out and look at the roads in the housing addition. Park View, is that correct? Have you checked that and all those roads into the county standards, as far as adopting them?
they are.
Jim, at that point, do we need to do anything special for the county to adopt that subdivision?
We do, but I did not, I apologize, I did not know we were doing this tonight. So there are standard specifications, but it sounds like it's important, so let me work on that for our next meeting. So we will need to get with you on the exact roads and then work on the specifications for the adoption.
Okay, Rich, you have a comment?
Yeah, this was done in 2001, and it was brought before the commissioners at that time. And they were supposed to take it over in 1 year, and I didn't pursue it more, but there's probably already paperwork on it. So it'd be easier to restart it and find it, but it was all set and signed off on, and they would just take it over that next year. That helps.
I think that
2001. Okay, thank you.
I think that the last one of these we did, was it last year or year before, once we adopted it, literally was like 30 days and it took effect.
It wasn't long.
Yeah, it was fairly quick. So if we can't find that, we'll just start fresh and as long as Greg approves everything that fits the county standards and the different resolutions that we put in place and ordinances and things like that, we'll get this thing rolling. No problem. If you've got any questions in the meantime, contact Greg and he can pass it on to the attorney, make sure we get the paperwork properly. Okay? Figured I'd save you from sitting there for another 30 minutes or whatever, so.
I appreciate it.
I did request that the Hilly 100 be placed on the commission's agenda, but I don't see anyone here from Hilly 100, and it was commissioners to approve their routes through Owen County, but as I looked at it, really didn't, the one that they sent me didn't involve Owen County. Therefore, but I have accommodated them and you have approved it on many different occasions. So without them here, I don't have a map to ask that you approve.
They've got here on, I don't know what page you want to say this is on, but they do have Harts Gravel, Walden Road, Flatwoods, Concord. There are some of those on here, and I think they're the same routes that they've ran in previous years.
They have yet to send me a route, so
Okay,
I don't know.
so we won't discuss this until they come forward. I do have,
You got it, but I didn't.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem accommodating it at all, and I'm sure it's a lot of work for both Sam and I, so.
yeah,
That was the email that you had forwarded to me, Greg. Those were off of that email that you forwarded me requesting for
Well,
them to
the
be
one
on
that
there.
Well, Rachel, I may have gotten another
No,
one.
they had
I
a
saw
meeting about it a few days ago.
Yeah, only had Monroe County route.
this has dates of these maps of 2019. That's why I'm thinking it's not been changed. But again, I want to make sure that you guys have this information to make sure that, can you forward this to Sam and
They're usually here.
well, we've got another meeting before that's gonna happen, if I'm not mistaken, so
I'll
hopefully
try
they'll
to reach
show
out
up.
to them myself.
I'll reach out to them too, they'll let me know what the route is. I know it is Monroe County here, both I know.
Jim, do you have this packet also?
I
Has
have
there
that package, but it is dated, so it'd be better if they just. came.
exactly, yeah, it's 2019. It does have their certificate of insurance on here. It is dated August 21st or 2021, so that, the certificate's up to date.
It's difficult to find it around this, but.
Okay. Moving on, is that it?
That's it.
Thanks, Greg. All right, Sheriff Department, you have anything, Sam?
We got some vehicles, being that financial situation, money been moving around and stuff, bought. we got a couple of vehicles we want to sell online like we did last time. Any problem with that? Just go ahead and get it fired up.
No, I need
No.
to do the surplus.
Yeah, we have to do a surplus.
One of your deputies or Matt can just send me the VINs and the identifiers, I'll have that ready to take.
By next meeting, we can approve it and it'll be ready to go. And thank you for reminding me, I've got a courthouse basement full of all kinds of items that I need to go down and get a list on and get them out of here. So that's next on my things to do.
And I forgot to bring, we do have our inventory list done. I should apologize. I'll drop off.
Have you got a copy to Sheila as well?
Yeah, I'll bring it over tomorrow and give you a copy.
And then you can just
Mailbox.
forward it to me or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's pretty thick, so,
All right.
then you guys want to talk about the dormant funds here in a minute?
Here in a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Chris, you have anything?
All I had is just some information on funeral arrangements. Visitation will be tomorrow for Brandon Staley from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And funeral, there'll be visitation from 11 to 1, and funeral starts at 1. After the funeral, the procession will go from the east side of Wilmington across Highway 46 and will end at the EMS station, where there'll be some ceremonies performed, and then that'll be the end of, everything will end at the EMS station. He's being transported in an ambulance rather than a hearse, and we've agreed to also transport him to Terre Haute for cremation.
And I've spoke to Greg, I've spoke to Chris before we get out of here this evening, if you guys can get together on times. I talked to you about 6 volunteers, if we can have 3 at the funeral home to help there, the other 3 down at the EMS and the church next door. That's what we talked about, and I'll let Chris and you talk about times and those type of things, if you can hang out until we finish up here just a little bit. Thank you. And we're still good with that okay. One other thing I want to touch on, since we're talking about a funeral for a county employee. It's been asked if we're going to shut the courthouse down and do different things, and no, we're not. The visitation from 4 to 8 should cover anyone that's a county employee, and if it's not and they want to attend the funeral, they're more than welcome to take that time off, but they will be doing that using their comp time, PTO, vacation, whatever it is that they want to take off to go to the funeral services. But the courthouse will remain open, normal business hours. So just want to touch on that real quick. Elected officials and department heads, I think we've covered everybody that's here. Christine, do you have anything? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you want a COVID update?
Wouldn't hurt, yeah, while you're here.
Okay, so as of right now, we have 147 active cases in the county, 66 variants of concern, 27 which have been identified as the Delta variant. Our positivity rate is 20.7.
20.7%.
And our county will be red tomorrow.
Okay. And there's been a little bit of discrepancy on that. Sam and I met with Christine and Dr. Wells last Tuesday, and the news has showed Owen County and several other counties in red. I was assuming that we were in red. We were told that we were actually in orange instead of red. I don't know who the state's getting their information from, or they're just assuming, but a bit confusing. So thank you for clarifying that. And thank you for being here and giving us those numbers. There's been a lot of discussion with the school and different things, and it's important, even as this thing goes on, and we've got options now as far as vaccines, masks, whatever it is that we choose to do, we still need to keep our eye open on this thing and stay up to date. So thank you. You guys have anything or any questions on any of that? Any other department heads? Greg?
Jim, And I, speaking of surplus, when can I place that culvert online, so?
Oh, has it been
That's
advertised?
the 30th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, once, there's a 15-day time period from the date that it's advertised. So if you have just follow that resolution, follow that timeline.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything's been approved, you're just waiting on the,
Right. They're just waiting for I believe it's a 15-day notice from the time they had advertisement.
so if anybody's looking for a round train car, we got one. Okay. Yeah, I think Jim's gonna speak on that if I'm not mistaken. You were gonna speak on this,
Oh, the safety pin.
right?
Just the insurance agent.
And the reason I'm telling you that is because it came to us late and I didn't know if you were the ones that presented that or if it came to Sheila or.
No, just what this is, the agent for the liability insurance, his name is John Parmalee. Been a lot of contact with him on one, looking at insurance costs in the past of 2021, and specifically looking at 2022. This is one of about 7 attachments. I just sent that one to have kind of, I guess basically say kind of the radar. But John is suggesting once there's time after the budget is settled, and he's well aware that there's a meeting for the council for 26, but he would like to come to, and he's welcome, he's welcome if you want him in a commissioner's meeting, if you'd like him in a council's meeting, if you'd like him in department, or if you'd like in all those combinations, to come before the commissioners and the county council with a number of ideas on what could be done to reduce liability costs, reduce workman comp costs, and from his opinion, this would have a positive effect of insurance rates going on. So one of these approaches there is manual. They'll even present an Owen County safety manual with different steps, different forms that he would suggest that the county would use. One of those that I found out is there's a set rate for the workman's compensation, but Owen County has a multiplier by the number of claims. If the number of claims, number of problems, number of safety issues, which everybody would want, I mean, you don't want anybody to be hurt anyway. If that can be reduced, that multiplying factor will also be reduced, and that is a direct dollar-to-dollar reduction in workman's comp. So if it's something, again, after August, that you want to consider, I'll reach out to him, but he would very much like to come to a commissioners meeting and a council meeting at a minimum.
Definitely, and again, I mentioned this in the budget hearings that Sheila and I have already been sent in some risk management meetings with the insurance. Probably the best bet for John and us all as a group is to call a special meeting with the commissioners and the council at one time. That way he's not presenting twice and we're all in the same room listening. So that would be my recommendation. Obviously, we'll have to get with Mr. Wood and see what we can schedule after their next meeting, obviously. But yes, definitely.
I would keep that open then on a special meeting as just insurance issues. The other thing you may or may not want to include there, but if Ron Remack of Bill Brown and Associates would be interested in coming at the same time and kind of explain programs or answer any questions, it might be a nice special meeting where you can talk about workman's comp, liability insurance, and also the group insurance programs, and just clarify for everyone as a commissioner and the council what the rates are, what the contracts are, how they're billed, what it is per person, what the expectations are of the clinic. Again, not trying to create an extra meeting, but if you wanted to consider that for a special meeting of insurance, at least it's a possibility.
It's pushing. In reality, it's pushing $2 million here total with health insurance liability, the clinic. We're at $1.5 million with group health and liability and workman's comp. You throw another 100 and whatever thousand on there, we're at 1.6 roughly, right?
Yeah, you're looking at least $1 million on the group insurance. You're looking at a minimum of 100,000 on the clinic. Then you have obviously dental, all other factors there. You're at a minimum of 207,000 just for the basic coverage of workman's comp, $373,000 for the liability, and again, now, maybe we touch on deductibles, haven't talked about workforce development and not on audits, I would say easily ballpark of $2 million.
Yeah, so it's something that is very serious and we need to talk as a group. And I know the last few comments in the budget hearings on Thursday, there was a lot of questions about the clinic and what it's doing for the county, if it's saving us money. So yeah, those are all great topics for one meeting. So I would suggest that and agree with that, Jim.
Okay.
And of course, I can contact Ron Remack or whoever needs to be, once we make a confirmed meeting.
Then give them notice, but I think there'll be great value in that.
Sounds good. Okay, we can go to dormant funds now, and I don't know if that's a Sheila topic or a Jim
Auditor will
topic.
be the primary auditor deserves the credit for this. So, yeah, let me just do the background that I turned over there, but, it was brought to the attention, to me by the auditor looking at different funds. And what we're talking about, so let's kind of define some terms. A dormant fund, just definition would be where there's a fund where there's been no activity, no receipt of income, no expenditure for a period of time. Now, running this just from January 1st to July 31st, there was roughly in the ballpark area about 16 different funds, but they totaled $373,000 worth of cash in those funds. Now, as you start to work your way through, well, one of them was the congressional school principal, which led to a different direction, but the council is going to consider a resolution. Again, this was all brought up by the auditor. This is going to save a lot of administrative problems, but the congressional school principal of $18,000, the interest, actually being controlled by the state. So as soon as the county council acts, I believe they are going to on the 26th, they pass that resolution. Those two funds will now go to the state. There'll be no monitoring cost whatsoever to Owen County. Owen County loses nothing, and then they'll be transferred to them for a period of 20 years. And that's just something that doesn't have to be done. The auditor had found that. So that's set up. The others, the question is, in general, if one of these is a true dormant fund, at least from the State Board of Accounts perspective, after there's a factual basis established here before you as the commissioners, and you're satisfied that this is truly a dormant fund, that there's been an excessive period of time, that there's been no income, no outcome, and there is no obligation of any kind on this fund, by a vote, recorded in the minutes, the auditor then would have to be given permission, will verify the State Board of Accounts, who does that, contact them, they'll verify it, but that money can be then transferred into the general fund. So this is an opportunity that will cost the taxpayers zero. It eliminates the gap between the red of the general fund. It's not a tax increase. It's no one is losing any money because it was just there. So there is one for your consideration. So I'm just going to lay out the background, then I'll turn over to the auditor who did this. But this involves $213,736.94. This currently, as of today, is Fund 4930. It's Redevelopment Commission. And the balance in there is $213,736.94. So the first thought would be, obviously, there's an active redevelopment commission in Owen County. In fact, they have a meeting this Friday. Isn't that their money? So I'll start just kind of the background as I understand it, and turn it over completely to the auditor because she's did all the research and will express to you. But there was, going back in 2015, this was an active fund for redevelopment. And so 4930 was on July 1st of 2015, had a beginning cash balance of $788,641.74. In 2016, it was active. There were expenditures, and then that money went down to $643,450.37. Well, But if you look at the redevelopment statute, redevelopment money needs to go into separate funds. So with the permission, I'm gonna jump now from 2016 to 2021. The redevelopment commission, absolutely to the penny, has three active funds. They have 4933 redevelopment general, 4934 redevelopment bond, and Fund 4935 redevelopment capital. So redevelopment general, redevelopment bond, and redevelopment capital. Those three funds are in the People's State Bank under specific bank numbers now of 2371, 2380, and 2398. Now, as of, we ran this in July, those funds, 4933, redevelopment general, are in Bank Fund 2371, PSB general, and they have a bank balance and a county balance, they match to the penny, $358,967.65. Redevelopment bond, 4934 county, 2398 People's Bank. County balance, $28.19. Bank balance, $28.19. Again to the penny. 4935 redevelopment capital. It is 4935 in Owen County. It is 2371 People's State Bank. County balance, $598,063.76. People's Bank balance, $596,063.76. Combined funds, $955,059.60. So why did I bore everybody with that? You have to be sure that this is a true dormant fund. So in 2017, and I'm going to, this was with auditor take over, but it's my understanding in 2017 there was a recognition in compliance with the Indiana statute. The money was taken out of 4930 and now placed in these particular funds. This is the part that the factual based on the auditor. My understanding, one of the reasons why that was absolutely important is prior to complying with this statute in 2017, there was commingled money. There was other money in 4930. So why I bring that up is I want to be crystal clear. Redevelopment is not being denied a single dollar of the fund. That was all squared away, taken care of properly in 2017. Redevelopment Commission is 100% statutory compliance to the penny in their funds in 2021. And the fund balances checked by the treasurer and the auditor matched by the penny. But the commingled money, the remainder, this is the best way to put it, that money of $213,736.94 was there on January 1st of 2017, January 1st of 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and as of today, August 16th, there's a balance of $213,736.94. Opinion-wise, this would meet a dormant fund. It's been untouched. Auditor found this, and Sheila, just turn it over to you on all the other factual basis that would be needed, or anything from the State Board of Accounts.
Not a whole lot more to add other than, again, the monies were commingled or weren't used, or bills and claims were paid out of the county general or other funds, thus leaving this amount that's there. We already have in writing from the State Board of Accounts that this fund can be transferred, or these monies can be transferred to the county general fund. There's quite a few of them on the list that we need to still do some more work with, but the specific big amount, again, let's go ahead and approve to get it moved and added to help the deficit or the negative balance.
So commissioners, if you're satisfied with the factual basis, it would take a motion, and then this can be entered at the auditor's pleasure, but this would reduce the general fund balance by over $213,000.
I'm going to vouch for both of you because I sat on the redevelopment committee and have for 2.5 years. And the funds that you mentioned earlier are correct. those were transferred from a financial institution to People's State Bank last year, if I'm not mistaken, about this time. So this fund here definitely is dormant compared to the 3 funds that are existing in the redevelopment. You gentlemen have any comment or any concerns or anything at all?
There are a couple other little ones on the list. The sewer collection for $140 can be moved, and the Owen County Regional Sewer District they no longer exist either. That 99604 can also be added to this total for this evening. There are a few of them, the emergency management, Homeland Security. Those are some that we're still gonna have to do some research on. They go back farther than our WOW system goes back, and we don't have any way of checking them or verifying where they did come from. So it might be that a resolution is needed just to give them to specific, whether it's the sheriff's department or EMA, some of the levy excess, I have the state looking on that one. The auditor's ineligible deduction, not sure on that one either. Dome preservation, courthouse clock towers, those are projects that will probably still will happen.
Yeah, I'm not letting you touch the dome
I was gonna
preservation. I got plastic on windows for 3 years,
The
so.
state does say that those can be moved, but again, those are some that I think we need to leave alone. The Veteran Park project, it's something little, that is something that can use if we're putting blocks out here or the park itself. The credit debate, the inheritance tax, and the cadget distribution, State Board of Accounts is supposed to have me an answer on those 3 tomorrow.
What about the Homeland Security? I see it's 22,000, it's a decent amount. What do we know about that fund?
There's no history with it as prior to August of 2015. Again, when we started the new WOW system, we lost access to everything else. Whether it was a grant that came in, if it was something through EMA, we did grants in the health department through Homeland Security. Sam had several of them that were done. There's no history, no path back before that, so that's a decision you guys would have to make. Are you going to put it in there, or are you going to allow it to be used, whether it's by the sheriff's department or EMA? But again, Jack said he knew at one time that there was monies that was given that had to be used, but we don't have any grant numbers, anything to connect
Nothing
it
to
with.
match it.
So,
Jim, if we make decisions on these, do we need to do them individually by fund number?
First, I would, short answer, absolutely by fund number. And then 2, you would want a similar type of factual basis for each one of your funds for the minutes. That's how the State Board of Accounts is going to track the movement. So they're just asking that an exhaustive factual basis be done one by one.
Okay.
We really want to reduce 213,000.
Well, at the recommendation of the auditor she's already spoke to the State Board of Accounts, so any that she feels comfortable, I'm sorry here, I've got the only sheet in front of me, I'm sorry. Here, she's giving us another one.
if we wanna go ahead and do the 213,000 tonight, because that is a big chunk, and then we could prepare a list with the exact numbers and the ones that we wanna move in 2 weeks, after we make sure we try to exhaust all possibilities.
Okay. And I'm fine with that. 213,000 is a good start to a $540,000 deficit. Any other discussion from the board? Well, at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve the surrender of Fund Line 4930 Redevelopment Commission and Dormant Fund to be transferred, tell me if I'm saying this correctly, Jim, to the general fund. Okay, I've got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Step number 1, Sheila. I'll give you this paper back. If you could send me another copy of that, Bob, you can hang on to that one.
And
And then we'll
work
check
a
on the other
list.
ones.
I would say we'll work on a list that you can just read at the next one. Do you want me to reach out to half a dozen people or departments that are on here and ask them one last time to look and see what it is, or if they have a use for it that can be used?
Sam, I'm gonna ask you, there's a 9116 car camera fund. Is that your department or is something?
Yes, it is, and there's another one in there, it's a gadget fund, it belongs to the sheriff's office. We don't need to go into big debacle what happened with that, the previous people here. That does belong to the sheriff's office, and that comes short of back our jail housing fund that we're going to be spending. We just heard over $100,000 for medical and meals. That $13,000 will go back into the jail housing,
Okay.
which I'm sure of what we're spending out there.
So 9116 could go back to you as well as the 7311. You'd like both of those funds transferred back.
That is
Okay.
correct.
And I have verified those are his funds. Those have had anything from payroll to supplies out of them. So those are his.
There's two gadget funds on here. One's distribution, one's a PTRC. I don't know what that means.
Have not
Are
been able-
both of those funds yours or just the
No.
two? Okay.
6007 would be different.
Different, okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to verify that. I'm just making some mental notes here.
The COVID tobacco, that is not the correct amount. It was reported in the annual report. There were funds requested from the council last year, 20,000 from the tobacco fund 1206 to be put in, and it was transferred into the COVID-related funds. It just has not been pulled out of there for the annual financial report and state board of accounts audit. So that money was spent, so
It's
it's
at
just not been
zero.
accounted for,
Okay.
correct?
Just taking a quick flip down through here. I'm trying to see if there's anything for Greg or Chris in here anywhere, since they're sitting here.
You know, Barry, when you talked about that homeland security thing, I think Jack gets back, he's on vacation.
Yeah.
But we need to dig into that a little bit, because that may help Chris out and me as well, if we need, if there's stuff in that homeland security line that we can use. They got a variety of options for that, you know what I'm saying? But we'll have to dig into that and make sure that it wasn't specific item. And it would be for that.
That may have been the money you're looking for your flood problem. I'm just adding your department, because Homeland Security is part of that we've been dealing with.
I believe, is the COPS Fast Equipment grant
Grant.
yours?
Yes, it is.
What I was doing, we see here. Community corrections, that would be probation,
How much is in that?
$120.
I would say it's unspent funds from a prior grant, and unless Donna has paperwork, we again, we can check on that.
Yeah,
Stop grant, I thought we had the stop grant, and it was 9130, and I thought we had put everything in there because things hadn't been done prior to, and we just transferred what was due from the last few years, so I think this 2799 can go to the general fund.
okay.
Because we just made those corrections, the state gave us permission and we took it to the council too. What had happened was the matching funds have not been paid for 5 or 6 years, so we did a one lump sum, and I think this just got left in this, it's an odd fund number, because it really is 9130 on their stop grant fund they're using.
Okay, we'll put a 9130 on there. Okay, so at this time, we've approved a 213, so that's being moved. I've got 3 here marked for the sheriff that we know he wants to maintain, to have transferred. We'll let you investigate the rest of them. I'll make some phone calls as well on some of these, and we'll come back and hopefully we can collect as many of these as we possibly can.
Thank you, Jim. He's gone through way more papers and stacks than I have, but this is just a quick list. There might be more out there, but these are.
It appears that most of these were left dormant when we did the transfer of the previous financial software to the LAO system. For whatever reason, it didn't get transferred over. I'm not gonna get into that discussion, but that seems to be the consensus here. Okay. Attorney comments? Nothing else? Madam Auditor? Commissioners, I'll start, if you guys don't care, because I've got a Toshiba contract here we need to approve. This actually is just a replacement of a previous contract that has already been signed. We have now changed this. This is our maintenance agreement for our printers and copiers countywide. They had set this at a $298 a month fee. We've actually asked them to break this down per department, and they have done that, and they have lowered the rate even more, it appears to me, from what I'm looking at. Ask them one more time and get it for free. But it's basically, the black and white copies are 2 cents a copy, colored's 8 cents, and I think before it was 4 and 8, if I'm not mistaken, so it has went down a little bit. So I'm gonna ask for a motion for approval for me to sign this contract adjustment for Toshiba.
I make a motion to sign that contract, Gary.
I have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second? I have a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye.
You agreed, huh?
Okay, and I know you said that, but just if anyone, Toshiba is the vendor for the copy. This is not a new agreement. This is just a maintenance, amendment to that contract. They're on a state bid. This has already been presented. So all this is simply nothing more than an amendment to the existing contract. It was a special purchase that was done, and this actually, instead of a mandatory minimum of $295, there is no mandatory minimum.
So hopefully it will save us more money. There you go.
Any count.
Other than that,
Jim, redevelopment attorney.
yes, thank you. I've got that written down right on my notes here, but I'd have probably missed it with all the other scratches. The next thing, gentlemen, we have, on the redevelopment committee, the past attorney for that has resigned. The redevelopment committee has asked our county attorney if he would be interested in taking over those duties, which is very important that our county attorney be the attorney for that, since it involves county business. Jim has graciously agreed to do so, and even more graciously agreed to do it at no charge, which is very, very nice of him. So I would like to make a motion that we approve Jim to be the attorney for the redevelopment committee, and to make everyone aware that he has agreed to do that at no additional cost to the county contract.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by myself, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. And Jim, again, we thank you for that service. I have nothing else at this time. Bob?
Nope.
Dale?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Hey, Gary, if I say one thing.
You sure
I
can.
don't want to embarrass Chris by no means. They've been through a lot, but I'll tell you, I've seen something about 90. I'll try to hold it together if I can. We had an accident up on 67 and right at Culverall Road involving a vehicle and a school bus. Carried 9 children, I believe it was. The driver of the car unfortunately passed away. 7 kids that had to go to the hospital, but this is in the same area where his right-hand man suffered his fatal heart attack, I believe is what it was. And in the process of taking taking care of 2 kids in the back of that ambulance, so Brandon made sure that those kids got 100% care, even though he was suffering then. But what I'm saying is the accident we had the other night, Chris' staff showed up, you know, you got the person dead and kids everywhere. They was flawless. They was flawless in their performance. And I watched the whole entire thing with tears in my eyes. Chris was there, his staff, and I know I could kind of feel what was going through their minds because they had just been there a few days earlier. So I just want to say hats off to Chris and his whole entire staff because they was flawless in making sure that those kids got absolute best services compared to night of that crash on that bus. And I'll tell you what, we got the best EMS staff, second to none as far as I'm concerned. Hats off to you, staff.
And Sam, I'll second that. I talked to, and I actually deal with a couple other EMS departments, ambulance services, and that same sentiment comes from most people as well. And, yeah, Chris has been through a lot,
Yes,
does an amazing job.
they got a lot to go through this week, so I'd ask them please just, everybody keep them in prayers. They're tough group. My hats off to them.
Thank you for that, Sam, and thank you, Chris. With that being said, I had a motion to adjourn, and I'll second that, and everybody have a good evening. Thank you.